I think the things that we enjoy are the things that maybe we don't get to happen as often, right?
Because starting as roasters, everybody loved our coffee beans, but they wanted a place where they could actually come in and get a cup of it as well.
So what would you say the biggest challenge has been since opening T3 Coffee?
Oh man, I think so one of the things that I did to prepare for opening this business is 6 weeks before we opened, I went skydiving.
Welcome to Green Country Conversations, the podcast where we hear about the stories and learn about the people that make Northeast Oklahoma truly great. I'm your host, Maverick Pitchford, owner of Bison Ridge Insurance, and today we're going to have a conversation with a guest who has taken her hobby of coffee roasting from her kitchen and turned it into a thriving business. But first, let's take a minute and thank our sponsor.
This ad is brought to you by absolutely no one, but it could be. Imagine you're here, your name's here, your logo's here, and I'm singing your praises. All you have to do is sponsor this podcast. If you're interested, please reach out to me at maverick@bisonridgeinsurance.com.
Joining us today is Linda Tucker, the owner of T3 Coffee Co., a family-owned coffee shop and roastery located in the heart of historic downtown Collinsville, Oklahoma. With a background in nonprofit work and ministry spanning over 20 years, Linda has always had a passion for serving others. That same passion has inspired her and her husband Gary to transform a small kitchen hobby into a thriving business. So grab your favorite cup of coffee, settle in for a warm conversation with someone who's making Green Country a little cozier one cup at a time. Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you. As someone who is a coffee shop goer, I find this conversation, I think it's going to be very interesting. And so I'm excited to kind of get started here.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. Thanks.
Definitely, for sure. Well, let's get started with a couple icebreaker questions. Okay, this is a hard-hitting question right off the bat. If you could have coffee with any historic figure, who would it be and why?
So that's a really good question. So good, in fact, that question is actually on our applications.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's
Super
really
fun.
It's really fun to hear. And I feel like my answer changes every time.
Right.
Because there's so many wonderful people
Yeah.
in history. It would. I have so many things running through my mind right now.
Yeah. For me, I think I would go, just so you kind of have some time to think. Maybe Jesus. That'd be a fun person to have a cup of coffee with, right?
Yeah.
That'd be super fun. Have all kinds of questions and just get to sit down and be in his presence. I think that'd be really amazing.
Yeah, that's our number one answer, I think, on
really?
our applications that
that's
people
awesome.
Put in. I'm really, really interested in history and really women's history and how far women have come just in our country, and so probably one of the women that really fought for women's rights and really to pave the way for women to do all of the things that we do today. Even just me being a small business owner in a small town, being a woman, years ago, that was completely unheard of. And so it would be really interesting to hear the stories of those women and the things that they fought through and the battles that they experienced to give us the opportunities that we have today.
Man, that's a great. I'm sure the conversation you would have with them would be very impactful. That's awesome. What is your favorite thing to do while drinking a cup of coffee? Like for me, I like to just sit on the back porch and enjoy quietness. So what's your favorite thing?
I love to read a good book.
Okay.
It doesn't always happen in my life, but I love to just sit down with a cup of coffee and read a book.
I think the things that we enjoy are the things that maybe we don't get to happen as often, right? Like for me, I have 3 little boys, all under the age of 4. So me having a quiet cup of coffee has not happened in 4 years. And so that's probably why that's what I'd want to do, right? Because it's like you don't get to do it.
Yeah, well, that's actually what Gary got me for Christmas this year. And it was the best gift ever. He got me a book and gave me the time to read it. And
that's amazing.
So I did actually get to sit down over Christmas break and with my cup of coffee and enjoy a book. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. What is your go-to coffee order?
Oh, it depends on the day. We have so many good drinks. Probably my go-to that I really love in the mornings would be our Golden Sunrise, which is a vanilla and honey latte.
Sounds good.
that we have here at T3, and it's just a warm, cozy drink, and especially in the winter right now, in the cooler months, I love just kind of sitting down with those warm flavors. But today I switched it up, and I had an iced Cardinal Delight.
Ooh.
So that one's really good. It's an iced latte with honey, vanilla, and cinnamon, and just
Wow, that sounds good.
kind of has a little bit of extra kick in it, and
Yeah,
get you going
that sounds
in the
really good.
morning.
Man, I need to venture out on my coffee orders. I literally just order a black coffee, and so
Yeah.
I'm not the most adventurous when it comes to that kind of stuff. I would be curious, what's the most popular drink order at T3 Coffee?
That one's really hard because everybody has different flavor. Like,
Right.
has different taste buds. I mean, we sell a lot of lattes. Here at T3, we do things a little different than some of the bigger coffee shops in the area. We do more traditional coffee. People always tell us that our coffee tastes too much like coffee.
Okay.
So we always joke that we're the coffee shop that actually serves coffee.
Yeah, right.
But we sell quite a bit of lattes. We had over the holidays on our holiday menu, we had an oatmeal cookie latte.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Was probably our number one bestseller. It was a shaken espresso with brown sugar and oat milk.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
And so that was probably our top seller off of our holiday menu.
That's super good. That sounds amazing. Well, let's get into a little bit of industry talk here.
Yeah.
What inspired you and your husband to start a coffee roastery first?
So this all started as Gary's hobby. So T3 is owned by my husband Gary and myself, and T3 is actually us. It's our family.
Okay.
So we're the Tucker family, and there's three of us.
That's
it's
awesome.
Me and him and our daughter Maddie. And so this literally is an extension of our family. And
Yeah.
Gary's background is in oil and gas and working out in the oil fields. I mean, there is not good coffee.
Yeah, I bet.
He just got tired of getting up early mornings and drinking sludgy coffee. So he learned
Yeah.
how to home roast.
Okay.
And would roast coffee for himself. Back at that time, I wasn't even a coffee drinker when we started all of this.
That's amazing.
So I knew nothing about coffee. I was always told that coffee was an acquired taste, and you just drink enough of it and you get used to it. I had no idea that coffee has natural flavors in it, coffee grown in different regions at different altitudes, coffee that's roasted different ways, all brings out the natural flavors in the coffee. And once I realized that, I really do now enjoy a cup of coffee. But
Yeah.
it all started with him just roasting at home. We'd have friends over, we'd share coffee with them. He has a background in electrical engineering and physics, so he actually built our first couple roasters
Wow, that's cool.
that we had. And we started sharing coffee with our friends. Our friends started sharing coffee with their friends. Their friends started coming to us and wanting to know how to buy the coffee.
Yeah.
So we really never just woke up one day and said, we're going to start a coffee business. It just kind of happened for us, as weird as that sounds. So we officially launched T3 as a name and as a brand in January of 20. And
Okay.
we all know what happened right after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And when the world shut down, everybody went home. And so everybody's caffeine intake went up.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer getting coffee at the office in your normal places that you get it.
Right.
And we really saw an increase of people wanting to support locals. So our coffee sales went up during that time. During that season, we started selling at local farmers markets just as a way to be around people and not feel isolated, but feel safe because the markets were outside.
Yeah.
All the things. And we woke up one day and said, hey, we have a product. Let's just go out there and stick a table out. Nobody's going to who's really going to buy our coffee? But it'll just be something fun to do for an afternoon. And at the end of that season, we had an amazing customer base. And that's
cool.
I mean, we've just kind of been growing from there. So
That's amazing.
So we really did go from roasting in our kitchen to now roasting commercially and selling our coffee all over the state and the nation.
That's amazing.
So.
That's super cool. I think those businesses like that, where it's like truly is a passion project that turns into a business, are always the most inspiring, right? Because there's truly is like a love for it behind just like, oh, I'm trying to make a business to grow revenue, those type of things. I think that's super passionate. That's awesome that you guys have that passion to do that. So I know you guys are in a historic building. Can you share a little bit about the process of restoring? It's a 1912 building, if I'm correct. Maybe talk a little about that process.
Yeah, so this building was built in 1912. It's not a true historic building the way that it's not on the historic registry. There's all sorts of stuff that we can go into about why, but we did a historic restoration on this building. So we spent 2 years working on this building. We're located downtown Collinsville. And when we got this building was just literally falling apart. It was one that was completely forgotten about, has been neglected over the years, and so we basically just kind of had to start over. We were able to uncover a lot of history in this building. Like I said, it took us 2 years.
Yeah, wow.
To make it what it is today, but we had a big vision and a big dream, and so it was really fun to see that come together. And so with that, we were able to move our entire roastery and production over to Collinsville, and then open up the coffee shop as well. Because starting as roasters, everybody loved our coffee beans, but they wanted a place where they could actually come in and get a cup of it as well.
Right.
And so this community, people are really, really important to us, the connections that coffee brings. And so we were very intentional about everything that we did in our building. We do not have a drive-through. Which makes us very unique. So you can come in, you can enjoy a cup of coffee. You can still get coffee to go. We do have an app. You can order ahead, come in, get it to go.
Awesome.
But it's really fun to see the connections that happen and just the stories that happen in this building.
That's super cool. Yeah, so my office is in downtown Coweta, and the landlord here, they took the old movie theater and turned it into, there's a shop downstairs, Salt and Soul Market, and then 3 offices up here. And it's so cool to think about, like, where my office is set in is literally like where the projector used to set back in the old days when they had movies here. So it's just cool to think about those type of things, because now you're growing a business that wasn't there originally, but you're still using the bones. And like, if those walls could talk, I would imagine the stories they could tell would be super, super cool and inspiring.
Yeah, and that's something we say all the time is so when we got this building, one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to know the story of this building. We wanted to know what has been in here, what's been its past, things like that. And so we uncovered quite a bit of interesting history.
Wow.
We're still learning, because this building has been here for over 100 years. One of my favorite stories that comes out of this building is I think it was probably back in like the 1920s, 1930s, somewhere in that time frame. There was a couple, husband and wife, that owned this building, and they got divorced, and so there was some custody issues of who was going to get the building and all of that kind of stuff. And so, talking about how far women's rights have come. So what the husband did is he had his wife committed. Said that she was crazy, that she was insane, and had her committed. And because she had that diagnosis, he then got everything.
That's crazy.
And so she went away for a while, was able to prove that she was not insane, came back out and came after the guy.
Wow.
And got the building back. And so
that's amazing.
Just kind of a really fun story.
Yeah.
Talking about books, there's actually a really great historical fiction book called The Mad Girls of New York that has a very similar storyline of women getting locked up essentially by their husbands. Because of divorce and different things, and just the lack of rights that women had. So that's an interesting story that came out of here.
Sure.
Another thing that we learned, which is I think super exciting and really cool in here. So we knew that this building back in the late 80s, early 90s was a machine shop, and we were told that they manufactured parts for airlines and things like that. But we recently learned that they also had a contract with NASA.
Wow.
So they manufactured parts for the space shuttles right here in Collinsville.
Yeah.
And so, who knew? Like, Collinsville, Oklahoma has an amazing tie to our space system and NASA and things like that. So it's really cool, all the things that have been in here over the years.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's amazing. So what would you say the biggest challenge has been since opening T3 Coffee?
Oh man, I think just There's so many challenges, but I think, I mean, every day brings new challenges.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people every day, we have no idea what we're doing, and we just figure it out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think just being willing to overcome that fear is probably one of the biggest challenges, and not be afraid to try.
Yeah.
You know, we've, in the last year, so we opened a year ago in December. We opened in December of 23. And so we had an incredible year. It was a lot of fun, and we did some things really well, and we did some things not so well. And, you know, being able to say that, to know where your failures are, but also, you know, not be afraid of that, and to keep moving forward. I know that's something that I think a lot of us, it's just hard to get started, and it's hard to try, and it's hard to fail. But knowing that you're going to learn something from all of those experiences, and just being willing to just get up every day and just keep going.
I tell people all the time, like, if anyone that's listening consumes my content, they probably heard me say this, like, owning a business is like jumping off a cliff and then figuring out how to build the plane on the way down, and then halfway down you realize the manual's in Spanish, right? And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it's that leap of faith to actually jump off the cliff and be like, I'm going to do this because, you know, it's good for my family, you know, whatever your driving factors are. I think that the big step is that leap of faith, right? And I think that I personally enjoy the unknown every day, and like trying to figure it out and being a problem solver and those type of things. Like for me, like being a business owner, like that's the most joy that I get out of it. Like, you know, I'm in the insurance space, and I'm not crazy passionate about insurance. Like I'm not like, oh, I love insurance, but I love being a business owner. And probably the same thing, like the business owner side of it is a lot of times like where I think a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't even think that was going to be something I enjoyed, but it is something that's really, really fun.
So one of the things that I did to prepare for opening this business is 6 weeks before we opened, I went skydiving.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to take a literal leap. That leap of faith that everybody talks about, and so I wanted to take that, and I thought it was a great idea to do it literally. So
that's fun.
So I went skydiving, and it was very important for me that I did it, you know, right before we opened. And for me, it was an incredible experience, but it was also like taking that leap of faith into this new season. And in my mind, I was like, if I can jump out of a plane, I can do anything.
Yeah, so, for sure.
So that was something fun that I did. I think another thing that I think can be challenging sometimes for business owners is knowing you can't do it all yourself. And knowing when to ask for help. Because I know that can be a challenge, just saying that you don't know, asking for help. You know, I love that Gary and I get to do this together. We make a great team. There's things that he is way better at that I'm not, and vice versa. And even with the two of us together, there's still things that we don't know. And so we've met some amazing people along the way, but knowing that it's okay to ask for help, and not trying to do it by yourself.
And I think naturally as a business owner, at least for myself, I like to be in control. That's why I wanted to own a business, right? That's why I wanted to grow my own things. And so like being able to be like, oh, I actually do need help with this is hard sometimes, right? Because you're like, this is my baby. This is what I'm creating. I don't want anyone else's fingerprints on it. But you're like, actually, to make it grow and get to the dreams and the levels that you want to reach, you have to ask for that help. So I think that's awesome that you guys you've identified that, and you're using that as a strength for yourself. So talk to me about how the Collinsville community has supported you along the way, because I know you mentioned earlier being very specific and diligent about the decisions you've made in that mindset. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So Collinsville is a great community. It's a growing community. It's a thriving community, and people really have come together to step up and support their small businesses. Especially awesome. Here, we're a little hyper focused on our downtown area. And if you have never been to Collinsville, I always say that Collinsville is one of the hidden gems of Oklahoma. It's not far from Tulsa, Bartlesville, any of those surrounding areas, and you can spend an entire day here in Collinsville. It makes a great day trip. Lots of small businesses, local things like that. But that was a big part of not only the community here, but just the way that the city supports us, the chamber supports us. That's amazing. Everybody coming together to succeed.
That's cool.
Has been a really big part of that. And then for us, being able to be a hub for this community, really,
Yeah.
and to be a place for connections to happen, it was very, very important to us when we came in that we wanted to be involved in the community. We didn't want to just do business here. We live here. We go to church here. Our daughter goes to school here.
That's amazing.
And so we wanted to be a part of this community, and so we serve on community different committees,
Yeah.
helping things happen. Last year was the 125th anniversary of the founding of Collinsville, which
That's
was
awesome.
super cool. So we
Yeah.
had a year-long celebration with
Cool.
that, and we kicked it off last January. We actually did a commemorative coffee called 1899 for the founding of Collinsville. We were able to donate the proceeds of that back into the
That's cool.
community. We were able to partner with the schools, providing coffee at different times for teachers. We do fundraisers
That's cool.
within our community. Right now I'm serving on the Chamber Banquet Committee,
Awesome.
and helping plan that and honor some of our people that make our community special.
Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so there really is a lot in this
Yeah.
community, and it really is great to see so many people coming together for the good of the people. I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a super awesome answer. I would be curious to see. How do you believe like coffee shops play a role in the community, right? Because in my mind, like you said, it is a hub. So like, how have you seen that in the day-to-day interactions? Like, do people come in and have meetings? Like, what is kind of like, how is it a hub for your community?
Yeah, so we see all sorts of things every single day. And one of the things that I tell people when I look back on my life personally, even though I was not a coffee drinker and did not really enjoy coffee, I always went to coffee shops. Like,
Yeah.
coffee shops were always a staple in my life. And
Yeah.
even here at T3, even though we're a coffee shop, we serve more than just coffee. We
Right.
serve coffee, we serve tea, we do house-made sodas. We opened
awesome.
a deli at the end of last year,
Wow,
so
that's
now
cool.
we serve lunch and food and all sorts of things. But so yeah, people ask us, like, who comes into your shop? Well, we see people come in that work remotely. Come in here. We offer free Wi-Fi. We have what we call a day pass, bottomless coffee, so you can come in, you can work, use your
nice.
Wi-Fi, get a lot of stuff done. We see meetings happen here. We see, I think somebody bought a house here one time.
Wow, that's
they
cool.
came in and with their realtor and did all the paperwork here. We see first dates happen here.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We see homeschool groups that come and
That's cool.
use our space. We see moms that come in after they take their kids to school. They come in and have a little bit of relief and a little bit of time and have coffee. We see birthday parties that happen
That's
here. So and then even just the connections. Just recently, it was a lot of fun. We saw two people walk into our shop. One guy walked in, ordered his coffee, went and sat down while he was waiting. Another guy walked in, went and sat down. He was waiting for somebody, and you can see these two guys kind of looking at each other across the room, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like that weird exchange, like, I know you, but I don't know you.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to know you? And then one of them stepped up and he said, "Are you my neighbor?"
Oh, that's so
And
funny.
turns out that these two guys live across the street from each other.
Wow.
Have never talked.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't know each other. They see each other taking the trash out every week. They see their kids getting on the
Yeah.
bus together, but they never made that connection until they were in our shop.
That's super
on
cool.
that day. And that's really cool to see that happen. And also, if we had a drive-through, you know, they could have been in the car behind each other and they never would have seen each other.
Yeah.
And so just seeing that happen, seeing those memories made. We also see somebody will come in, they'll order coffee, they'll be hanging out, and somebody else will come in they haven't seen in years. And so we get to see those reunions and those
That's amazing.
connections happen. We have one guy that comes in every single day. He's 83 years old, and he comes in every day
Wow.
and gets a cup of coffee because he says he feels welcome in here and he
That's
feels
awesome.
safe when he comes in here. And so, yeah, so it really is kind of a place for there's a space for everyone in here.
That's super awesome. Well, that rolls right into our next question. How do you guys make sure that every customer feels welcome at T3 Coffee? Because, like, for me, I have my favorite coffee shops, right? And it's the ones where I feel like I can go sit down and open my laptop and then go up and order. Like, I'm not worried about anything. It's just, you feel welcome, right? You walk in and you feel cozy and at home, and you're like, this just feels nice. So at T3, how are you guys making every customer feel welcome?
But I think that's part of the culture of T3 and kind of what makes us different. We actually just had a staff training yesterday, and the whole focus of it is hospitality.
Yeah.
I always say I want to be the Cheers of coffee. We want you to come in, feel at home. And for us, it really is personal for me because this is an extension of my home and my family. So when you come in here, whether this is your first time or your 100th time in here, we want you to feel like you're coming into our home. And so we do a lot of training with our staff on hospitality, on having that welcoming environment, having things in place really for them to help with that customer experience. We want people to feel welcome from the time they come in to the time that they leave, whether they're here for 5 minutes or 2 hours.
Yeah, I like the cheers of the coffee shops. That's a great analogy. What advice would you give someone who's trying to build a connection-driven business, right? Because your business sounds like it's all about the connections, the people, the community. What kind of advice would you give someone?
So be connected. Don't do it yourself.
Yeah.
For us, yes, this is a business. Yes, this is how we feed our family at the end of the day. But for us, this is about the people. And so people come first and then money comes second, right?
Yeah.
So just get out and get involved outside of your business. And I know that is so hard to say. As a business owner, one of the things that we're very fortunate about is we have an amazing staff of people working for us. So as a business owner, it makes it a little easier. I have a little bit more freedom in my day. When we first opened, when it was just me and Gary, it was challenging to be able to get out and make those connections the way that we kind of wanted to do that. But just make that a priority. And like I said, just get to know people, get involved in your community in some way. I tell our staff, every person that walks through the door has a story, and our job is to uncover that story.
That's awesome.
And so I take that philosophy with everyone that I meet.
That's super cool. I think something you said earlier about like not just doing business in the community, but living life in the community, right? And like as a small business owner, like you said, this is more than just a business to you. This is an extension of your home and your life. And this, the name is all about your family, right? Everything is like, and so like for you to be able to actually buy all the way in, it's like you have to be part of that community too, which I think obviously you're doing. You're living it every day. So that's super awesome. With your background in nonprofit work, how have those experiences shaped your approach to being in a business now, being a business owner?
So, I think a big part of our community focus comes from that background. One of the things that's really important to us is we're not just another coffee shop. Even with our roastery, we weren't just another roastery. So our tagline for our business is local coffee, global impact. And so
that's awesome.
We do a lot of education and advocacy. We get our beans directly from our farmers. All around the world. And so,
That's
I
awesome.
always tell people when you go into a coffee shop, ask them where they get their beans. And if they don't know, question that.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of exploitation that happens in coffee.
Right.
And a lot of unfair practices, child labor, things like that. And so we're very intentional about every single thing that we do. From the time the beans are planted to the time they end up in your cup.
That's
and
awesome.
So that's something that's really important to us, is being able to share those stories and make those connections globally. But we also, we do fundraising.
Yeah.
We work with schools and sports teams and other nonprofits in our area to help them raise money through coffee, to build those connections, to help them better serve their community.
That's awesome.
So it's really cool, the partnerships and just all the different levels that we get to be a part of with coffee.
That's super cool, right? You're like, oh, it's just such a simple concept of just coffee, but it can turn into so much more, right? And you can make like a, like you said, a global impact, literally. So that's amazing. What has been the biggest surprise about transitioning from the traditional, nonprofit work to being a business owner? Like, has there been like a big surprise where you're like, wow, I didn't expect that at all?
I think you don't ever stop working.
Yeah.
You don't get a day off.
No,
You
yeah.
know, and I think that's really for any business owner, but, you know, when you run your own business, you know, people will come in here, people are like, oh, yeah, it's Saturday, you know, you get a day off. No.
Yeah.
We don't. And not to say that we work
Right.
24/7 because that is completely unhealthy as
Yeah.
well. I have done that and it is not fun.
Right.
And you can't sustain yourself doing
Yeah.
that. But just the amount of hours that we work and learning how to have that balance
Yeah.
of this of work and self-care and family and all of those things. I just wasn't prepared for I mean, people tell you, but just
Yeah.
the amount of work and hours that you
Right.
put in.
I remember when I first started my business, I was, fresh out of college and didn't understand why everyone didn't just go out and start a business, right? I was like, just go start a business. Like, you don't need to do, work for someone else. And then I had to realize, like, it's not for everyone because one, we talked about earlier, taking the leap of faith. That's a big step, right? But then also you have to be okay with the fact that, if you're truly a business owner that's bought into your business and going to make your business succeed, like, I wake up thinking about my business, I go to bed thinking about my business. Like, there's never an off switch. And for some people, they don't want that, and that's okay. But like, if you're truly going to be a business owner that's like all into your business, then you have to be willing to, like, I don't go home at 5 and stop thinking about Bison Ridge Insurance. Probably the same way you don't go home at 5 and stop thinking about T3, right? Like, it's always on your mind and you're always thinking of, like, how can I prove it? What do I need to do? Like, there's just all those things. But like we said earlier, for me, like, that's the fun part of being the business owner, because it's like I'm using insurance as the vehicle, but business is the game that I'm playing. And like, I love that game. And so you have to be willing to buy into that and actually do it. And I think that there's, like you said, people tell you, like, oh, you're going to work a lot. But then, like, when you're actually doing it, you're like 4 months in and the news kind of wear it off and you're going through your first skid of, like, oh, this is really tough. Like, you have to be willing to buckle down and get through that because it is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
But I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it at all.
Yeah, right. No, yeah.
And so, like I said, but yeah, just having that healthy balance, because
Yeah.
I don't want people to get in the mind, and I've seen people do it where they get in the mindset of I have to work 24/7, and
Right.
there has to be balance, but at the same time I think you can be creative about what that looks like for you, because
For
that
sure.
looks different for everybody.
Definitely.
You've got 3 kids, I've got 1.
Yeah.
You do insurance, I do coffee, but
Yeah.
but when you're passionate about what you do, I've also seen people that just start businesses, just to start businesses, but and some of them do great and some of them struggle. But if it's something you're passionate about, like I said, for us, business comes second, and coffee and community and relationships come first. And
That's super
coffee
awesome.
is the vehicle that we get to use
Yeah.
to make those relationships and those connections happen. So
That's super awesome. Well, now we're going to
I would
get
wake up and
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I
didn't
would
cut
wake
you
up
off.
and choose the same thing every day.
I agree completely. I tell buddies and stuff all the time, like, if you were to say, hey, Maverick, we just hit the reset button, you don't have your business anymore, I'd be like, all right, we're going to figure out a business and get back into it, because of the fact that the business game, like, I think of it as a game. Like, it's so fun, and I love the grind of it. So we're going to get into our green country recommendations. These are our 2 solid questions we ask every single episode. The first being, what would your perfect day look like in green country, right? Let's say you're not working, T3's all taken care of, the staff's all there, no one's sick, no problems there. What do you and your family like to do in green country?
So we love history and we love small towns. And so when we get some time off, we love just traveling around and finding all these little small hidden gems around around green country. And so
That's awesome.
Gary, his grandparents owned an antique business while he was growing up, and so we call it treasure hunting.
Yeah.
So we love going to these little towns, finding these little antique shops and junk stores, and just go treasure hunting around town. And so
That's awesome.
We'll pick a community, whether it's Claremore or Pryor or Wagner or Muskogee, like any of those towns, and we'll just go spend a day. Spend a day
fun.
on their main street, spend a day visiting with their community, supporting their local businesses, and then you never know what you're going to find. And
Right.
So
That's
just
fun.
searching for those treasures.
That's super fun. Yeah, the adventure of it is all fun, right? Because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to find, but the process of, like, going out and doing that is super fun. All right, so our second question is, what is a hidden gem in Green Country that you feel like more people should know about, right? You just talked about that's a passion of your guys' is going to small towns and finding those things. So what's a hidden gem that you're like, hey, I'd love to give some shout outs to this business?
Well, I've already said it, Collinsville.
Yeah.
The Collinsville downtown, I believe, is a hidden gem in Green Country.
Yeah.
We have an amazing group of businesses from trading card. We've got a trading card business here at
Ooh.
Bear Jacks. We have Heather B's. We have local bakery. We have Caddy Corner, which is like upscale consignment boutique. We have
Okay.
Enchanted Children's Bookstore. So we
Wow,
have a
that's
bookstore
awesome.
here. We've got 3 amazing antique treasure shops. We have a t-shirt bar and hat bar business here.
That's awesome.
We've got some great restaurants. So really, Collinsville is the place where it's at.
That's awesome.
It's our hidden gem.
Well, that's fun. Well, my wife and I will have to take a trip out there because I've been to Collinsville, but I don't think I've ever, spent a day kind of just walking around the downtown, the historic downtown. So that would be really fun. So in wrap up, we talked about a lot of different things here. Business ownership was something we really kind of, all the conversations kind of pertained around that. So what is, maybe one piece of advice that we haven't already said that you would give someone starting a small business?
So the best piece of advice that I was ever given as a business owner is, and I have said this, people have heard me say it, is find people that can run your business better than you can.
Yeah.
Because as your business grows, it starts with you, but you can't run it yourself.
Yeah.
And like you've said, it's hard to give up that control.
Right.
But at the same time, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And so finding people that have their strengths and that can add to your business. And I think that's why we are where we are today.
Yeah.
We have amazing baristas. We have an amazing kitchen staff, roastery staff that bring things to the table and gifts and talents that I just don't have. And so, so find people that can run your business better than you can. And
That's
bring 'em
great
over to
advice. Yeah, amazing advice. Okay, so last question, what's next for Tree 3 Coffee? What are you guys, what's your plans for 2025? What's your plans for the next 5 years? Like, do you have a big plan? Kind of what is your guys' plans going next forward?
So our big, I guess kind of our biggest thing that we have going on is, we, like I said, we love history. We love Collinsville. We spent, like we talked about, 2 years working on this building, saving this building, telling its story, and so we're going to do it again.
That's awesome.
We just recently acquired another building here in Collinsville, in the downtown area, that we're going to restore and save and bring back and tell its story and
Cool.
and make it part of our vibrant community. So
That's awesome.
that's our big thing that we're working on.
Well, that's awesome. I'll have to look
So
out for updates on that. That's super exciting.
Yeah. So that's our big news right now is we're gonna do it again and just
That's
continue
awesome.
to pour life and love back into this community.
That's amazing. Well, Linda, I appreciate the time. Let everyone know how they can stay in contact with you, how they get in contact with T3, what's your guys' actual location, address, all those things. What's the best way that people get in contact with you guys?
So we are located at 113th South 11th Street in Collinsville. So we are 1 block south of Main Street, right across from the post office. We have a website, t3coffee.com. You can check out our shop there. You can order coffee beans there. You can check out our deli. All the things that we have going on. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We have an app. You can download the app and get push notifications whenever we've got new things going on. So, so just come and find us.
Awesome. Well, Linda, I appreciate the time. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. This is the wrap up of the Green Country Conversations podcast. If you have not already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Mav_Bison Ridge Insurance. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.